Survivor Thrivers, what's up? Authentically Me, Regina B, is back to film an update for you on week 6 progress. Today is going to be day 4. Like I've said in the previous videos, but just in case you haven't watched any of the other ones, I've already completed week 6. I'm waiting to complete week 7 once I get all of week 6 videos out. So once I have that done, we're going to hit it and quit it and be done with, in case you're new to the channel, therapy book, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy in 7 weeks. Retrain Your Brain. And this is by Seth Gillihan. And it was a 7-week journey, and I'm super excited to start week 7. So let's get into it. And then the other book that we're going through is Let That Go by Monica Sweeney, a journal for leaving your BS behind and creating a happy life. But instead of happy, we're going to say balanced life. Balanced life. So let's jump right into cognitive behavioral therapy. I have it bookmarked here, and we are to day 4. We know that he's been sharing his session with his client, Julia. Her name is actually Julie, but for some reason that's a hard name for me to say, so I've been calling her Julia on camera. So we're going to get right into it. So day 4 says tailoring exposure for different fears. Right here. And let's see, it says, while the general principles of exposure therapy hold for various types of anxiety, we can increase its effectiveness by adapting it for specific conditions. Specific phobias. Exposures for specific phobia tends to be the most straightforward. In many cases, a single extended exposure session can effectively treat the condition. For example, one study found that for 90% of people who did the treatment, about 2 hours of exposure led to lasting improvement or even complete recovery. Exposures for phobias should allow you to test the assumptions you have about what will happen when you interact with the thing or situation you fear. For example, if you're afraid you'll get stuck in an elevator, riding an elevator allows you to test that prediction. If you struggle with a phobia, what do you think will happen if you confront it? And it says, keep these predictions in mind. They'll come in handy when you make your own exposure hierarchy later in this chapter. Let me reach over, get my book. So what did I put? Day 4. And I actually completed day 4 on December 29th. So it says, I don't think I have a phobia. I'm afraid of spiders, but will get rid of one if I need to. I don't like bridges, but will go over one if I need to. Yeah, I don't really have any phobias. I don't enjoy, well, I do now. Over the summer, we went to Galveston, but we flew into Houston, and I don't like flying, but for whatever reason, this experience in flying, like usually on takeoff, I cry, and I think I teared up a little bit, but then after that I was fine. And it was my children's first time flying, all of them, so it was just a great experience to see them experience flying and looking out the window and just being up in the air and enjoying that. So, but I can't really think of any specific phobias that I have. So panic disorder. There are many ways exposure therapy can play a role in managing panic disorders. We'll start with the easiest one. Keep breathing. Yes. The breath is intimately connected. The breath is intimately connected to our nervous system. When we're feeling calm and relaxed, our breathing tends to be slow and steady. When we're afraid, we take rapid, shallow breaths. Take a few rapid, shallow breaths now and notice how you feel. Don't like it. Then take a few slow breaths and see what happens. So when we're having frequent panic attacks, we tend to breathe in a way that increases physiological arousal and anxiety. By practicing a few minutes of relaxed breathing each day, we can lower our stress level. If you're working to manage panic, plan to spend 5 minutes per day breathing in the following way. Inhale slowly for a count of 4. 2, exhale slowly for a count of 4. And 3, pause for a count of 2 to 4 before your next inhale. So, and the the Headspace app is really good for that. They do charge like a monthly fee, and I am using their services. But they have some really great breathing exercises and some really great guided meditations. If you have a smartwatch, like my Apple Watch, it has a little app where it'll remind you and tell you to take a few moments to breathe. And also, I've learned from just having an active life that coming back to your breath in a run, for example, because I'm a runner, but in a run, for example, if you're starting to feel like out of breath, or you're starting to feel nervous or even excited because you're coming to the end, focus on your breathing, a count of 4, and then listen to your foot strike. So that's just some things that I do. But breathing really does help. It really, and even for those parents out there, moms, stay-at-home moms, breathing for me, because at one time, several times throughout my day when my kids are home, I can literally feel like it's an outer body experience, because I'll have all 3 of my girls, and sometimes even my son, my teenage son, and they will all have been saying mama at the same time. Mommy, can I? Mama. And I just remember being like, I'm one person. And not only that, how many people can relate? Not only that, to get to me in the kitchen, they had to walk past their daddy. Okay? Talk about panic anxiety. Like, whoa. Anyway. Okay, so you can also use this breathing technique during your exposure exercises when you're facing a challenging situation and are worried about panicking. It can feel like we have no control over the situation. One thing we can control is where we focus our attention. Keep in mind that the point of breathing is to help you through your exposure, not take away your anxiety or make sure you don't panic. If we use the breathing as a means to keep from panicking, it can backfire and lead to more anxiety. Remember, the point of focusing on the breath is to focus on the breath. Testing your predictions. So if you have a panic disorder, hopefully at this point you've reassessed some of your beliefs about panic. So then it says, what are some of the beliefs you have about what will happen if you panic? Have some of these fears been hard to counter simply through challenging your thoughts? For example, do you expect something bad to happen other than the panic itself? And so that was page 173. So I wrote, I don't panic, but I do expect something bad to happen. The something depends on the situation. Yeah, that's true. The something does depend on the situation. Like, yeah, I do struggle with just that, like I share with you guys, that melancholy feeling sometimes. And yeah, sometimes I do think, like, let's say I'm doing something as simple as going to the gym. And it's like, before I head out the door, I think about, like, what if all the treadmills are taken? Or what if somebody's rude to me? Or, just something like that. But a lot of, like I've shared with you guys, a lot of the things that I worry about never happen. So in doing this with the predictions, it's like my predictions are it's going to be this. But honestly, once I experience it, it never happens. Like, I go to the gym and I'm like, oh, nobody's here. Yeah, like everybody's trying to go to the gym at 1:00. Okay, so when you design your exposure hierarchy, think about the beliefs you have and how you might test them. Facing our fear of fear. In panic disorder, we often start to fear our own body's reactions because they've become associated with panic. For example, we might start to fear having a fast heartbeat because our hearts race during panic. As a consequence, we might start avoiding activities that raise our heart rates, which further reinforces our fear. Like any activity we avoid out of fear, we can practice approaching physical symptoms to decrease the discomfort they bring. This type of exercise is called introspective exposure. Common activities and the symptoms they provoke include. So here's the little chart, and it says activity. Breathing through a coffee stirrer for 1 minute. The sensations is feelings of suffocation. Activity, running vigorously for 1 minute, racing, pounding heart, shortness of breath, Taking 10 fast, deep breaths. The sensation is hyperventilation, numbness in extremities, feeling unreal. Spinning in a swivel chair, dizziness. Okay. Yeah, interesting. I mean, I've already read that, but I was just like, okay, yeah. I think I just kind of skimmed through that, but have you developed any fears of bodily sensation related to panic? If so, which physical sensations are uncomfortable for you to experience? Write them in the space below, as well as activities that could produce those sensations. So what did I write? I feel like I stopped. Yeah, because it says day 5. Okay, so I guess I skipped to day 5. And okay, so for this one, maybe I didn't answer it because I don't really struggle with the bodily sensation, but I used to fear the butterfly feeling in my stomach. For me, I know everybody's form of feeling anxiety is different, but for me, I would get butterflies in my stomach. And once I got butterflies in my stomach, it's like my fight or flight sense would kick into gear, and I'd be like, I'm scared. I'm like, what's going on? Why am I nervous? Why am I scared? And I would start to be feeling fearful, like something bad is about to happen. But now, especially if I'm doing some type of activity, I don't really pay that much attention to the butterflies in my stomach. So yeah, they may randomly just come upon me, but instead of it lasting for hours or all day or for days, now it only lasts a moment, because I'll just be like, that's interesting. And then I'll just move on, you know, kind of like what I've learned from listening to Headspace. It's like, you can acknowledge it, like, whoa, what was that flutter? But I'm safe. And then I'm like, it'll go away. And then I start doing something else and I forget all about it and it goes away. But that was something like the butterfly feeling. That was a sensation that I was just so afraid of having, and I don't struggle with that anymore. So it says, if you've become afraid of physical sensation, plan to include these activities in your hierarchy. Opening to panic. Trying not to panic often has the paradoxical effect of creating more panic. This is true. For many people, the most powerful antidote to panic is being willing to panic. Some people even describe a mindset of bring it on. When we're willing to have a panic attack, it makes us dread panic less, and it makes a panic attack less likely. Being willing to bring on panic-like symptoms through introspective exposure is in line with this mentality. You can also practice opening the specific symptoms you experience. For example, if your heart starts to race, let it, perhaps even willing it to beat faster. Most people I've worked with find this practice quite challenging because it goes against our natural impulse to try to make panic stop. At the same time, they tend to find it very helpful. And that was day 4. And I agree with that. Now that I am more mindful as opposed to like a shover, you know, panic and fear and worry, it doesn't have the same hold on me as it had in the past. Meaning I'm not a prisoner to it. Like, I can be a prisoner to it, or I can, you know, check the cell and then walk right on out. You know, it's like, it's just a feeling. It's just a sensation. It doesn't make it real. You know, and when I would feel the butterflies in my stomach, like how he's saying, bring it on, I have that mentality now, like, let's get it. Like, okay, I'm acknowledging it, but I'm not afraid. You know, and it just, like I said, it goes so much faster. Whereas before, when I would feel butterflies in my stomach, I'd be like, what's wrong? And I would spend so many hours, so many days trying to figure out, like, what's wrong? When really it was just a sensation in my stomach. Yes, baby.
It thinks like it's not good because
well, you know what? I'm almost done.
Mommy?
So, yeah, here you go.
Mommy?
Yes.
So I was watching JJ.
Okay. So that is that. Ooh.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, babe. It's okay. So that was day 4 of week 6. And let's see, I'm hoping that the video is not too long. Where are we? I did that one. So this one is from January 3rd, and the quote is Emily Dickinson. The soul should always stand ajar, ready to welcome the ecstatic experience. And it says, open your heart and your black soul. Closing yourself off to opportunities and relationships is bad. We know this. The physical act alone gives you bad posture. So sit up a little straighter or open that door a crack. How can you keep yourself ajar to new things in small ways? Definitely what I've been doing in my cognitive behavioral therapy workbook, picking a planned activity and challenging myself to do it. Actually do the activity. So that is, this cognitive behavioral therapy book really has helped me challenge myself to try new things. Like, I haven't been back to a spin class in about a week or two. Yeah, in about 2 weeks now. If I don't go tomorrow, it'll be 2 weeks. And just even doing that was a challenge for me. Like, it was, I had to put it down on a planned activity, and I was like, no, I'm gonna do it. And even in going, I was nervous. My predictions or my worries was that like everyone was gonna be like toned and fit, snatched and ripped. And, you know, they were gonna look at me like, what is she doing here? I even thought that it was gonna be predominantly people not of the same race as me. I'll put it like that. And it wasn't. None of those things ended up being true. And I had an awesome time. The teacher was great. The environment was great. The experience was great. But that is normally something that I would worry myself out of doing or panic myself out of doing. And even when I was driving there, I had to just keep telling myself, like, just go. You're just gonna go and you're just gonna see. Just gonna go and see what it's like. And then I went the second week again, and again I had a great time, and I plan on going back once again. So I definitely feel like challenging our fears is something that is good for our brains, it's good for our bodies, it's good for our spirit. It really is. It's like, for me, how I look at it is like like our Father in heaven is our Father of all of us, and it's like He doesn't want us to feel afraid, and He wants us to trust Him. And I will say, the more things that I do out that make me feel fear, but I do it anyway, I feel closer. It grows my faith. It's like those little rewards that we give our children when, you know, they follow directions and they're obedient, and or they just do something, like, you know, they randomly just clean something and you're just like, oh, baby, here's a cookie, good job. And so that's what I feel like it does for my brain. It's like, okay, Lord, I'm afraid to do this. I'm afraid of what people gonna say. I'm afraid of how I'm gonna look. I'm afraid I'm gonna hurt myself. You know, I'm afraid I'm not gonna catch my breath. And then you got the news scaring people, because it's like, I thought it was something. And then really what it was is Mr. Big on the new Sex in the City, I guess he had a heart attack after he got off a Peloton. Not even a real situation, but I remember hearing something in the background when I was on my way out the door, and I was like, oh my God, like, I don't want to overexert myself and then get off of this spin and then pass out in front of everybody. But then it's like, that didn't happen. I know how to control my breathing during exertion, and that when I got back, I was like, they talking about a TV show? Like, because they were saying like, oh, Peloton stocks dropped. And it's just like, because of a TV show? But anyway, thank you guys so much for rocking with me. I don't want to ramble. I'm hoping that this video is in the teens. If not, it's okay. But thank you guys so much for your love and support. I greatly appreciate it. And I love you right back. Thank you to all of my subscribers, my most recent ones and my day ones. Thank you so much for supporting me. I really appreciate it. And if you know anyone that may enjoy the content, definitely share the channel with them. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed. And if you hit the bell, it'll notify you whenever I upload a video. And thank you so much for just your love and support. And I want to let you know, in case you don't hear it today, and in case you haven't heard it all week, and in case you just need a good reminder, I'm here to let you know you matter. Peace. 19. Oh God, 19.